And today it is truly an honor and certainly a privilege to be able to be here as we dedicate this park in honor of United States Marine Corps Private First Class Richard F. Nugent. Also here to honor the 243rd birthday of the United States Marine Corps, which makes today's ceremony even a little bit more fitting and special. At this time, we have the Westwood Fire Department Color Guard to present the colors. Present arms. The flag that was raised is the same flag that brought Richard home in 1966. I'd like to thank the Nugent family for providing that for our service. At this time, I would like to ask Pastor Thomas Pransky from Zion Lutheran Church.
We thank and praise you for this day. We gather to remember someone who is long overdue in being remembered, although he has lived in the hearts of many, particularly his family, for all these years. On this day, we ask that you consecrate these holy grounds, and, O Lord, that it would be, if it would be possible, that no more young people should have to give their lives. All that we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to ask Teresa Aboudou to please come for the singing of the national anthem.
Early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
First and foremost, I'd like to thank all of the veterans that are here with us today. You all deserve our continued support and admiration. I have in attendance the people that made this possible. The Westwood governing body, Councilman members Ray Arroyo, Councilman Rob Bacacci, Councilwoman Erin Collins, Councilwoman Alyssa Dawson, Councilwoman Beth Dell, wish she could be here today, but she had a family commitment, and Councilmember Chris Montana, and all the council people that I've had the fortunate opportunity to work with over the past 11 years that have actually participated and made this possible. I'd like to thank our Westwood Recreation Director, Gary Buckheister, the Westwood Veterans Council, VFW, American Legion, and the Ladies Auxiliaries, Westwood DPW Superintendent Rick Woods and his wonderful crew for helping to put everything in place and make this park the jewel that it will be and that it is now. I'd like to thank the Westwood Heritage Society for their continued support, the Westwood Clergy Council, of course, for their guidance and their spiritual guidance as we lead our town. Westwood Boy Scout Troops 47 and 350. Particularly like to thank Jamie Hodges for his guidance and assistance in making this day very possible. Our Borough Clerk, Karen Hughes, Borough Administrator Ben Kazmarski, and my Secretary Sylvia Kukowski for helping with all the logistics and putting things together. Our Police Department, Fire Department, our Ambulance Corps, and the Hillsdale Fire Department for being here to participate with their tower ladder and their apparatus, their members, to come here to show and support for the Nugent family. The Bergen County Division of Veteran Services, Bergen County Board of Chosen Freeholders, who without their support, the acquisition of these lands wouldn't be possible. Bergen County Executive Jim Tedesco, who wishes he could be here with us today, and offers his thanks and words of acknowledgement to the family, and again, without whose support the funds would not be available for the acquisition of these properties. Of course, the residents of Westwood, who provided their support over the years for the endeavors of the Westwood governing body. Special acknowledgement to the United States Marine Corps in honor of their 243rd birthday, which is today. A very sincere thank you to the a very special thanks to the Christopher R. Herbeck Scholarship Fund for the generous donation of our park flagpole that we have here today. When I brought the idea of this dedication, I don't think I got the second sentence out about what we were about to do before I was asked if we needed a flagpole. And that was very much appreciated, and thank you to the Herbeck Scholarship Foundation, very near and dear to all of us here in Westwood. Thanks to Stone Mill Gardens for the donation of the flowers that are surrounding the flagpole. You see they're in the Marine Corps colors. And of course, I'd like to say thank you to our very, very special guests, the Nugent family. Bill and Rita Nugent, Madeline Giannini and James Dodd, Mary Ann and Charles McDivitt, Kathleen Nugent, and in special fond memory, of course, we have Bill, and in special fond memory of Tom Nugent. At this time, I'd like to ask George Tomko and Carl Williams from the Westwood Veterans Council to come forward.
What I have is a letter. It's, "Dear Madam, I've shown in the files of the War Department the statement of the Adjutant General of Massachusetts that you're the mother of 5 sons who have died gloriously on the field of battle. I feel how weak and fruitless must be any word of mine which would attempt to beguile you from the grief of a loss so overwhelming, but I cannot refrain from tendering you the consolation that may be found in the thanks of the Republic they have died to save. I pray that our Heavenly Father may assuage the anguish of your bereavement and leave you only the cherished memory of the loved and lost, and the solemn pride that must be yours to have laid so costly a sacrifice upon that altar of freedom. Yours very sincerely and respectfully, Abraham Lincoln, President." To us, the sacrifice made by Mrs. Bixby, the loss of her sons in a war to preserve our great union and end slavery, was certainly worth it. But the answer is infinitely more complex. If it is your son, daughter, wife, or husband that will be sacrificed on freedom's altar. Some veterans have said it is more difficult to send your family to war than to go yourself. So while the "was it worth it" question can only be truly answered by those who have made the sacrifice, it is up to all of us to make it worth it. I have the final stanza of a poem written by a John Hunter Wickersham. 2 days after he wrote this poem, he was killed in an artillery barrage in World War I. A mother's pain, one of the most painful scars of war, is inflicted not on the veteran, but on the people who love that veteran. John Hunter Wickersham was a 20-year-old doughboy who understood the anguish that his mother felt. The final stanzas of his poem, "The Raindrop on Your Old Tin Hat," reads, "And fellows, she's the hero of this great big ugly war, and her prayer is on the wind across the flat. And don't you reckon that maybe it's her tears and not the rain that's keeping up the patter on your old tin hat?" The Nugent family, I thank you for your sacrifice.
Hello, everyone. How are you? It's great to be here in Westwood on this grand day. It's good to have the family members of PFC Richard Nugent and friends here as well. And it's a day that all of us could get together for the dedication of this park in the name and memory of PFC Richard Nugent. We honor this Marine for his bravery and valor and his ultimate sacrifice given on the battlefield in Southeast Asia, fighting off the enemy's invasions of South Vietnam. He served his country well and performed his duties diligently in the face of extreme danger. The only resident of Westwood to give this sacrifice in Vietnam, he joins his comrades on the wall of the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C. And he joins all the heroes of the armed services who also made this sacrifice in the many conflicts our nation has faced. Now in Westwood, we have a park dedicated to his name, his service, and to his memory. Let us always remember Richard for the loyalty and his duty to God, country, and Corps, and to have this dedication on the birthday of the United States Marine Corps only seems fitting. Semper Fi, PFC Richard Nugent. I salute you.
George, thank you, Carl. I'd like to ask the Director of the Bergen County Division of Veteran Services, A.J. Luna, to come forward for some words.
Good morning, everybody. Or good afternoon, rather. Very overwhelming to see the support. And I'm not going to be long-winded at all. First, I want to thank the town for putting this on. I just want to give you a little bit of history. In one of the most painful chapters on history was Vietnam. And many people always ask where our veterans come from. And as you see by the turnout today, our veterans come from our communities. They come from our 70 municipalities. The unique thing about PFC Nugent is that he was the one who made the ultimate sacrifice from this town. But we lost 189 in Vietnam and 58,000 overall. Just to put that in perspective, there isn't a town in Bergen County that has 58,000 residents. So, whatever the debate might be or the topic of discussion is, it all starts local. And please give yourselves a round of applause because this is a wonderful turnout that we're doing for a person who made the ultimate sacrifice. And me as a veteran of Operation Iraqi Freedom, I want to say something to my Vietnam brothers and sisters. You came home and sometimes were denigrated when you should have been celebrated. It was a national shame, a disgrace that should have never happened. And we must learn from our history. And that's why we are here today to resolve this. So let me tell you a story about your generation that came home. And how, even though some Americans turned their back on you, you never turned your back on America. And like generations before you, you took off the uniform, but you never stopped serving. And this is why, approximately 52 years later, we're here today to honor a man who paid the ultimate sacrifice for his country. And we, as a community, we must never stop remembering. Thank you and God bless.
And now, representing the Bergen County Board of Chosen Freeholders, Freeholder Chairman Thomas J. Sullivan.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank the Westwood Mayor and Council for allowing me to come here and speak before you today. What a wonderful crowd. This is it's a cold day, and I didn't want to bring that up, but it's starting to snow. But this is the right thing to do. So I just want to, I'm Tom Sullivan, for those of you who do not know me. I'm the chairman of the Bergen County Board of Chosen Freeholders, and I am honored to be here today for the dedication of this park to a fallen member of our community. War is freedom's costs. Soldiers who gave their lives, fought for freedom, loved their country, brought honor to their families and their communities, and died in service to the ideas we all hold so dearly. Their sacrifice must and will never be forgotten. I've had the opportunity to read about the final mission of Private First Class Richard Nugent. He and 16 other Marines died in 1966, coming to the aid of their fellow soldiers who were pinned down by a Viet Cong battalion and the Phu Tu Peninsula. Richard and his fellow Marines were on a rescue mission. No words delivered here today will adequately pay tribute to what those brave soldiers endured. Sorry. I usually don't prepare remarks, but this is important. What they endured and sacrificed during their week-long operation so far from home. Richard and many of his fellow soldiers were brought home and laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery, overlooking our nation's capital. But it's here, among family and friends, where so many remember him and mourn his loss. Where we now honor him with the dedication of this park in his name. I hope that in the days, weeks, and years to come, that as we pass through this park, we'll stop on the occasion to read the words dedicating this park in Richard's honor. I hope we'll take time to think about the life he sacrificed in his service to his country, in service to all of us that are here today. Richard died just a few days short of his 20th birthday. Far too short a life. So thank you, Richard, and thank you to Richard's family. We mourn your loss and honor his memory today and every day. May God bless you all. Mayor Berkner said the county executive couldn't be here today, but he sent along a commendation for the family. And we also have a commendation from the Bergen County Board of Chosen Freeholders. Thanks, John. And it's just on a dedication to Nugent Park in Westwood, New Jersey, in recognition of Westwood's Richard Nugent. And it goes on, but I just thought that it would be appropriate that if the Nugent family can come forward, we would like to present you with certificates from the governing body of Bergen County. It's the least we can do. Thank you.
Marion, you are
I was going to put that on eBay.
You can do that too. Thank you.
Thank you for everything.
Yeah, stand together.
Bill? Come on back.
Got it.
Is everyone from Maine or just Bill?
Just Bill. Madeline from Arlington. I'm from New York.
Bill said it's warmer than Maine right now.
I believe that. Thank you.
The pain of losing a son at a time of war. It's the Hodges family. I don't think that we could ever repay the debt to them, the sacrifice of their son, or the son of the Nugent family, brother. At this time, it's my honor to ask Cheryl Hodges, Gold Star mother of Christopher R. Herbeck, to come forward.
Thank you, John. And I'm just wondering if anyone out there thought that maybe all that white stuff might be coming from heaven, because there's a really big party going on up there today. Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to be part of this dedication. And while Jamie and I are sad to be here, we're very honored to be here, and would like to begin by saying thank you to Richard's family for the life of your brother, and for all that you as a family have had to endure because of your tragic loss. We know it well. Like Richard's family, we also represent a Gold Star family. We didn't ask to be in this family, nor, if we had the choice, would we want to be. We're here because someone that we loved died. But they didn't just die, they died while helping others. They died while serving in the military and while protecting our freedoms. Most ordinary men wouldn't choose to do what Richard and Chris chose to do. But then again, in our opinion, they are not ordinary men. They were chosen for a very specific reason. Long before our son was killed, we knew who Richard Nugent was. My husband Jamie spoke often of him in our home and vividly remembered the day that he was killed. He was just 10 years old. It's a memory that impacted him then, and it continues to impact him now. Jamie and I have told Richard's stories many times over the years, and I hope it brings peace to his family to know that his story and his legacy continues, that his sacrifice is still spoken of, and that it has not been forgotten. The dedication of this park ensures that his name and his legacy will continue. By all accounts, Richard Nugent was a hero, not the kind that kneels on the football field. He was a real hero. He sacrificed himself by distracting the enemy long enough for his brother Marines to regain control of a hostile situation. Richard died, but many more lived because of his brave actions. Many fathers, brothers, and loved ones are here today with their families because of him. As proud members of this community, we owe it to men like Richard and their families to honor and remember their sacrifice. We're fortunate to have leadership that shares this vision and puts great significance on this. Today is a wonderful example of that commitment. In closing, I'd like to quote my favorite president, who said, "Some people spend an entire lifetime wondering if they made a difference. The Marines don't have that problem." Happy birthday to the United States Marine Corps. God bless the family of Richard Nugent. God bless our military, and God bless America. Thank you.
At this time, it's my honor to ask brother of Richard Nugent, Bill Nugent, to say some words.
Well, here we are in unit formation. Madeline, Marianne, Kathleen, and our late brother Tom, and I thank you all for this ceremony and time here this afternoon. I want to thank the mayor and the council and the people of Westwood for continuing permanently to, okay, I got the mark out there, hold the mic up, right? For continuing permanently to remember with this lovely park our brother Richard F. Nugent, who died a violent death in service to his country more than 52 years ago. Thanks to all of you who came here on this chill November afternoon to honor his memory and the memory of all who served our country in the many wars that we have unfortunately had to fight. Richard's death rocked our family, and the passage of time has not much diminished the loss. Our family has grown in number over the years, and as they have, I've very often wondered what our family would have been like had Richard lived, married, and raised a family of his own. What good times would we have had? What losses would we have mourned together? What would his children, my children's cousins, have been like? That is part of the price of war too, is that the future that might have been is not there. My older brother Tom, no, excuse me, my other brother Tom was younger than I, and his classmates here will point that out to me, whose Westwood High class is celebrating its 50th reunion this weekend, died last year. For many years he made a special effort to meet and stay in contact with the Marines who had served with Richard in Vietnam, the 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines, including several who fought in the same firefight in which Richard died. When he died, Richard was with men who had become his family. He was close to them. He loved them much. What none of us here today knows is what this young Westwood man, a man not old enough yet to drink or to vote in New Jersey, would have done with his life. What kind of husband, what kind of father and neighbor he would have been. His arc was up, and over. We're delighted that this space will be reserved to public relaxation and recreation, and maybe from time to time people will ask, who was Richard Nugent? He was a tough young Westwood man in the best sense of the word. He strove to improve his life, and that's why he was in the Marine Corps and working for himself and for others. He has been, is, and will continue to be missed. Be happy that for 17 years he grew and had friends in Westwood, and many of them are still here today. Thank you again, and thank you for coming.
We stay here. Oh, okay. Hello? All right. I just wanted to share with you my Richard, who had a big, big heart, big enough for everyone, and a big spirit. He liked people, and people liked him. He had a magnetism about him, and he drew people to him. He loved people. A smile was my Richard. He was passionate, and his question always was, can I help? He was industrious, he was adventuresome, and he was generous. Generous with everyone I ever knew him to know. Oh, sorry. Generous. Anyway, just one little quick story. When he was about 8 years old, maybe 9, he and a sidekick decided they were going on an adventure. My mother came home that afternoon, about 4 o'clock. She found a note on the table, and the note said, "Gone fishing. Be back Monday." This was a Friday. My mother didn't take to this. Oh, sorry. My mother didn't take to this. You know, she didn't know how to handle this. So she said, we'll wait for dinner. He'll be back by dinner. He didn't come back by dinner. He didn't come back after dinner. And it got darker and darker, and then the phone call had to be made to the Westwood police. We need help. Richard's missing. And his sidekick. We weren't even sure who the sidekick was. Okay, so Richard's out there, and we don't know where he is. The cops come, and they search, and we search, and we're up. It was my first night ever staying up all night. I was 10. So we're looking, and no sign of Richard, no sign of Richard. At one point, the policeman went through the house and came out into our side porch. And I'm looking up at him. He had the biggest flashlight I ever saw. And he lit up the backyard, and it just filled the whole yard. You could see everything. Now, I have to admit, the grass was kind of long. It was kind of deep. Anyway, so, no, Richard, no. All night, everybody's out searching, no sign of Richard. Come 8 o'clock the next morning, Richard and his sidekick walk in the door. They're hungry. They want breakfast before they go out on their next adventure. I'm going, wow, my mother, not knowing whether to kick them or smack them or, of course, hug them. Sorry, I meant kiss them, not kick them. I meant kiss them. All arms, all hugs, all's forgiven, and his sidekick and everybody was happy, but that was his adventure. And I always think of Richard as an adventuresome sort, and he's still adventuring. Maybe he's even fishing. All right.
I'd just like to say thank you to everybody that came, the mayor, the Westwood Police Force, the Westwood Fire Department, my second family, the Hillsdale Police Department. Thank you very much for coming, and a special thank you to Jamie and Cheryl Hodges with the Sergeant Christopher Herbeck Foundation for the flagpole. Thank you very much.
Don't go away. At this time, I'd also like to ask all the members of the Borough Council to come up to help us unveil this park, because they were all part of this. And the family. Just want to grab a piece. I have to untie this. Yeah, I got it. Ricky tied it tight. Councilman Montana said Rick must have been a sailor the way he tied this. All right, come on, Bill. Let's go to the back. Up and over. It's not going.
There's another knot.
Scissors. Thank you, Ricky.
Going to pull it this way and down this pole.
All right, ready? Here we go. Hold on, don't go anywhere.
I'll keep saying.
One more week.
Have the lower the flag. Presentation of the permanent flag by Gold Star Mother Cheryl Hodges to the Boy Scouts who are ready. Thank everyone for coming out today. This expression of appreciation is quite overwhelming, and I think it's quite well deserved. At this time, I would like to ask Pastor Rodney Haveman from Parkside Community Church for our benediction.
May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord entice you into a life of courage and compassion, honor and heritage, service and sacrifice. And may the Lord smile down upon you and give you peace. Amen.
God bless the Nugent family. God bless our veterans. And God bless the United States of America.